The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's Platinum Success Training webinar with your host, Todd Walters.
Thank you, Andrea. Welcome, everyone. Got one of my favorite topics today for you. And if you're going to build a business, what are you going to build it on? So many of you believe that you build your business on leads. Okay, so from the get-go, it becomes purely transactional, and you've probably heard me ask you some serious questions at our meetings before, right? I'll ask it to you right now. What if the commission checks that you get, those commission checks that you're getting right now, you could not pay any of your bills with your commission checks? They were just formalities, like a scorecard. But you couldn't pay your car note, couldn't pay your house note, couldn't eat. On commission checks, you could only pay your bills. You could only live indoors, eat, drive your car. You could only do it with what Craig and I refer to as the back end part of your business: repeat, referral, and 5-star reviews. What if that was the only way you could pay your bills? You could only pay all of your bills with repeat business, referrals, and 5-star reviews, raving testimonials. Okay, the commission checks couldn't cash them. What would you do? Would your business be different? Would you do things different if that was the case? Okay, well, that's where we start today. So many real estate agents, and I understand it, you're going to make the switch. If you're going to have a really good sales team business, rich agent business, one that extends beyond you, for example, where you have overflow of business, you're really building something significant there. At some point then, a shift happens. It does. You realize your business really is for others. I'm just trying to get you to get going on that now. So if we're going to build this house, this business on something, what are we going to build it on? Right? So if you're just blowing through leads and blowing through clients, all right, well, let me ask you guys another question. How many of you have are getting at least one referral a year from each one of your clients? How many of you are getting at least one referral a year from every single one of your clients? Right, it's not all of you. But is it possible? Is it possible that you could really get at least one referral a year from every one of your clients? So one of the reasons that I want to put this webinar together today, especially in the month of November, Thanksgiving month here in the United States of America, all about values, really you and what you're building this business on, the true you, and strategically putting it this month was based on what happened in Anaheim. So when we were at the conference, at our meeting there in Anaheim just a few weeks ago, I was getting overwhelming feedback and response from many of you that were there on how impressed you were with the speakers and the presenters that were up on stage, who were where many of you were not too awful long ago. When I met many of them, they weren't making $100,000 a year in income. They weren't making $200,000 a year in income, not even close. Now, many of those guys, as you know, make millions and millions and millions of dollars a year in commissions. So what happened in 3, 4, 5 years with these people? Okay, so what was it that you were impressed with the most? Okay, how did they get there? Well, today's webinar, I wasn't sure how many platinum members were going to respond positively to the promo on today's webinar. And when you use this word core values, it gets tossed around so much out there in the world that I don't know how well it will respond to. But if you're going to build a business, what are you building it on? Okay, well, we're going to work on that today because this is a core element, a foundational aspect or pillar of your business. Okay, so hey, if you can find Tim or Carol there, Andrea, you can just move them over to our staff page there.
Do they share the same last name?
Nope, Tim Evans.
Tim Evans.
Carol
okay,
Royce.
That's what I thought. I have Tim. Let me go ahead and bring him over.
All right, so great, thank you. So I got Tim Evans, Carol Royce team. It's going to jump on the webinar and help us out today a little bit with this topic. All right, but before we do, I got great news.
Hey, Todd.
Tim. Hey, buddy, hang on one second. I'll come right back to you. Thank you. All right, so I've got great news for all of you guys. Check this out. I'm going to the schedule and the events tab. So here we go. We've loaded it up right here, Orlando, February 16th and 17th, and we just put the agenda up there. Okay, February 16th and 17th in sunny Florida. I'm going to be bringing to you, I'm calling it the Ultimate Real Estate Business Members Only 2-day conference. Okay, this is not for outsiders. This is for you. So over the course of those 2 days, we're going to be working on you further solidifying and building what I call the ultimate real estate business. Okay, you've got access to the systems, you've got access to the materials, you've got access to it all. But how do you go about actually building this? Well, we're going to touch on it a little bit today, but this is going to be a fundamental part of this meeting coming up February 15th and 16th. And I thought it wasn't too early for me to mention it to you guys so you can get registered up and prepared for it. Okay, so let's go back and look at the site here so you guys can download it. It's February 16th and 17th. February 16th and 17th are the actual dates. I noticed a typo in the agenda. We'll get that fixed. So you can click on View Event Details. You can download the agenda, check out the sessions, but go ahead and make plans to be there. I'm going to be there a couple of days ahead of time with the Titanium guys. We're going to be doing our annual advance. So we'll probably have some great things that come out of as a result of those 2 days to talk about and share as well. So any questions you have around that event, let me know, reach out to me. But my expectations is we're all going to be there come February 16th and 17th. It'll be awesome. All right. So without going through the agenda, this is the first time I think I've mentioned it, this event today. So, all right, guys, you got your notepad handy? Everybody ready to rock and roll? So let me bring on my special guest today, Mr. Tim Evans. Tim, how you doing?
Todd, doing great. How are you doing, buddy?
Okay, so for the record there, Mr. Evans, why don't you tell everybody about who you are, what you guys do, where you are. Give us a snapshot of your business there, what's working, what's not working, and then we'll get right into the subject of the day. I've got a PowerPoint I'm going to share.
You bet. So Carol Roy's team, we're in Tempe, Arizona. We'll do about $4 million in GCI this year, about $130 million in volume. Sell close to about 450 homes, and we're just doing a pretty good job following the system, following your direction, and Craig's direction. Just really doing a good job of copying, and just been very blessed, Todd, to be a part of your group over the number of years we've been with you guys. So every year our business gets better and better and better, and it's because of you guys. So I give you guys all the credit.
Well, it takes implementation for sure, but it is nice to have something that is copyable. Hard for outsiders to copy, but for all of us here on the session today, yeah, it definitely becomes pretty simple to process. All right, so I want to get right into this subject, and I've got a PowerPoint here I'll use from some things that we do internally. But I want to get right into the subject today, Tim, about just the overall values of your business. You sent me something here. I'll throw it up on the screen. Now, most real estate agents, once they decide and they get their head screwed on to a position of, I'm going to grow this thing. I'm going to turn this real estate agent job into a real estate agent business. When they do that, they discover that it requires some basic things to be able to build it on. Okay, yes. Unique selling proposition, business operating systems, and great marketing that's different, unlike what others do out there. Understanding how people interact with each other so that you become a person of influence, leadership skills, all those kinds of basic things that people would think about. But a lot of people don't think necessarily about what you have on the screen right here. Okay.
Right.
So you guys have been playing around with this a little bit, and I've noticed the correlation in the growth of your enterprise, in the stick of your people, their happiness factor. In fact, the large numbers of increasing people coming back and doing business with you over and over and over again, increase in referral, the amount of money that you guys are giving away to the children's clubs there in town. What is it? The
Boys and Girls Club. Yep.
Boys and Girls Club. Yeah. So just give us a little idea about what's happening and how you're actually doing this so that it's not just words, like you're actually living it, managing by these, and holding people accountable to them.
Yeah, that's a great segue. And I have Vicki on here with me as well. So one,
Hey.
So, Todd, we've talked, and we're a family business, and I know a lot of folks out there have family businesses. One thing that we sort of backed into, and we started talking to you about this seriously a couple years ago. We had different visions, different values, different mindsets, opinions, but when it really started coming together for us in 2017 is when we worked on these values, these core values. And what was interesting was how it brought our family closer together, just with leadership and just working from a leadership perspective to stay in our lanes and stay together with these values. If we didn't have them, it was a train wreck, absolute train wreck. And you know the stories behind the history with us. But with the values, we started running with these, and we all are together with these values as we make decisions, how we operate in the business, how our team operates, our business partners, how we want them to operate, and our community and how we enhance, the community and whatnot. So a little bit of backdrop on that is we should have done this first, Todd. This was probably the first thing we should have really looked at, but we did it last. We did it just back-asswards. And boy, we can look back at this and really say that, man, this has made a big difference in our business, huge difference. Wish we would have done this 10 years ago.
Okay, so let's pause there for just a second, and let me get something out to everyone. So I would recommend that you guys write this down. Okay, there are 3 acts of life. There are 3 acts of life. Okay, the first one is to achieve. The second act is to connect, and the third act is to integrate. So I would write that down. Act 1, achieve. Act 2, connect. Act 3, integrate. All right, so let's explain these a little, just a bit more, okay? We'll look at Act 1, achieve, okay? So achieving, as everybody knows, is a natural act for humans, okay? I don't know, we may be the only species that's able to set goals beyond just day-to-day survival. So it's very natural for us to want to achieve, to want to be something. So we can say Act 1 is really about being by doing. Everybody, I think, here understands that, okay? But many people think that achieve is like the only act in town. Like they're always looking for the next victory or the next sale, the next conquest. I've never heard anybody, Tim and Vicki, on their deathbed who said, I wish that I really had worked a lot more. Yeah. I wish I'd spent more time at the office. If I could have just missed more of my kids' games.
Right.
If I could have been home later every night, it sure would have been better. Like, I've never heard anybody say that. Okay, all right, so everybody gets that. Act 2 would be to connect. And that's really about relationships, or we'll call it being by being with. As a matter of fact, if you recognize this, not to get too deep on this webinar here, but if you recognize where I'm coming from, most of the regrets that we have in life are really not a what, but a who. Who we associated with, who we hung out with. What we ended up doing was pretty much a direct result of who we were hanging out with. So here we talk the importance of association. So the question I'll pose to everybody there is your business magnetic? Is it magnetic? Is it attracting your ideal customers, more of them? Is it attracting the right people? Have you ever noticed, Tim? You guys get around pretty good bit with all of our people. Have you ever noticed that some people have just this innate ability to attract great talent?
Absolutely.
Seems like and then there's others that seem to have these revolving doors of people joining their team, falling out of favor. You ever seen that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So there you go, man. So there is something to this, and if it's me, and I'm you guys, I really want to know the answers, because it sucks It sucks, doesn't it, to bring somebody on, go through the recruiting, the hiring, and the training process. You bring them into your team, and they get up and going, and it's like, okay, man, it's, you know, they've been here for 3 months, and then all of a sudden they're gone.
Right.
They quit. Or there's a problem that's created. You hand them one of your clients, big problems created, and you're just, it's gut-wrenching, right? How many of you guys can relate to that? Yes. Okay, too many. All right. So Act 2, the connect, again, is about relationships, or, you know, being by being with. So like during Act 1, which is that achieve factor that a lot of us get into the business to do. I want to get in, I want to make more money, I want to have more free time. So, you know, relationships, for example, are often put on the back burner. You know, we're really busy, I'm really busy, I'm really busy. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm not going to be there Saturday, honey. I'm not going to be there, you know, Thursday night, son, for your baseball game, whatever it is. And sometimes it takes like a personal crisis, you know, like financial strife or something, problem in you know, in business, or a physical illness, to make a person see that, hey, what really matters here is people. You know, my business is really for others. The more people make it about themselves, i.e. achieving, it seems that they never really achieve the very things that they want. Or they wake up one day and it's all broken. It's not scalable. Sure as can't pass it on to anybody. So this whole Act 2 of connecting involves experiencing life's, say, menu of daily offerings. I like that. It's really investing in your own and others' lives, and sharing your time and talents through your involvement with friends, family, and others. I got this great email today. Wish I could throw it up on the screen here, from Marnie Bennett, that she's got 300, check this out, Tim. She's got 360 people registered for her client appreciation event coming up this weekend. 360. Her client appreciation event. Yeah, that's what I said. I said, holy smokes.
Marnie's amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things we can learn from that. Number one, she's actually promoting a client appreciation event, and she has 360 people coming.
Yeah.
Right. So
he's touching a lot of people's lives, and you know, really elevating them, and she does a wonderful job in that.
All right. So Act 3 is kind of the last thing. That's like the integrate, or by becoming. Okay, it means bringing the first two acts together, the achieving and the connection part, and defining or redefining, you know, really our own purpose and values, and then putting them into daily action in ways that are truly meaningful to everyone around us, everybody in our business, the community, our employees, and others. So I've noticed this about you guys in titanium. Like, it's a race now, and you guys are eating it up. And the more you're pouring into this whole thing that we're talking about today, we're watching, many Platinum members are watching these businesses add $1 million or more in commissions a year. And it's almost like it gets easier to get the business. There's still challenges. We don't want to, you know, diminish that, but people are watching this happen. So that's the reason, again, I wanted to throw this into today's mix. But that's what I've seen: achieving, connecting, and integrating. So like you said, Tim, you kind of waited. If you could rewind the clock, you would have been working on this first. And this is the way most business people who had businesses that sell them and then go back and put another business together, it's the starting point. So it's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's all about the transactions and you know, transactionally working in that manner. And we were going all along and having problems all along, but yeah, we should have done this first.
All right, so let's let me bring up a few other things. I know this is a writing session for many of you, and it's intended to be that way. So don't have a lot of things to show today, but I do got something I'm getting ready to show you guys that'll really help you. But this whole matter of defining or redefining, you know, this, you know, say your purpose in life. You're a leader, right? Everybody's on the webinar today. Most everybody's a leader in the organization. Okay, so you want to look at how these questions apply to your business. And in the promo, I said, hey, will it really make a difference in getting more business? Because everyone here is ate up with getting more business. I need more business. I want to sell more houses. And then I asked the question, well, what happens if the commission checks didn't count? Like, you could only pay your bills, and I mentioned those three things. would the business look and act and feel differently? And everybody says, well, yeah, it would. I'm like, well, that's the key. It's the whole key to this thing, man. But it requires building the business by that design. Okay, all right. So this whole matter of defining or redefining what the real purpose is, it's not just like an intellectual process of coming up with some logical conclusion about things. Like, you got to dig deep to the really deep to the level of what I call the inner values. And most of the people here in our system that are right now, out of the hundreds of people that are here today that are watching, are very similar. The values, it's really interesting that everyone shares commonalities about how they see the world. Okay, how they see the world, how they react to it, and that sort of thing. So, but we're going to have to dig a bit deeper so that we can actually get on with the business of fulfilling what the real purpose is. So, Tim, you guys give away a lot of money and a lot of time to the Boys and Girls Club there. Just tell us a little bit about what is that like and what it's done.
Yeah, I'll let Carol just came in here, so I'll let her. She's the one that writes the check. So here you go, Todd.
Well, Todd, we believe in giving back to our community. So over the years, we have either given ourselves or secured other funding for the Boys and Girls Club of over $1 million. Right now, we're at about $1.3 million. So we spend a lot of time with the organization. We go to the clubs. We interface with the kids. We take them shopping for school clothes. We do Christmas gifts. And so our team is very involved with the Boys and Girls Club. 15,000 members. Yep.
Yep. So I've noticed that I'm sorry, Vicki.
They just did their largest fundraising event, and they actually put Carol's logo on the back of every medallion for people who donated X amount of dollars. And it was very impressive to see that it was all about the Carol Royce team. And they did that as a thank you for everything we do to them. So it was kind of a surprise to us.
We're a big deal.
Yes, you are. There's no question about it. You guys, bigger than you might even realize and imagine the impact that your business is having on people there. And it's not a coincidence that it's growing, vibrant, and people love working there and doing business with you guys. All right, so let's back up the bus in a little bit, and let's look at your organization. Okay, so here's your organization. I'll use my little PowerPoint slide that I've got up on the screen for everyone. You got your organization. Okay, so and you've got a good one. Okay, so we're going to build the organization though on some very firm footings. So I want everybody to write this, just draw this diagram out on your piece of paper today that you got in front of you, and we're going to use an acronym called CEOS. CEOs would be a way to look at it. Okay, and I'm going to explain to you what this looks like, and we're going to, you guys, Tim, Vicki, Carol, are going to be able to take this to an even bigger level. Okay, so if I put Carol Royce team here in this box where it says your organization, these are all columns. Okay, C column, E column, O column, S column, and CEOs. All right, the letter C stands for customers. All right, and that's the first thing that makes a great organization like yours different, is the quality of service available to your customers, right? So if you want to be competitive today, satisfying your clients is not enough. You want your clients to run around and brag about you. You want people to be talking about you. Oh, you're Carol Royce from the radio show. Oh my God, it's Carol. Look, everyone. This happens.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So you want people bragging about you. Like, how amazing is that to have your customers become raving fans, bragging about you? They become part of your marketing and sales force. So we got to treat the customers in such a way that they become raving fans of our service. And again, you guys do a really good job of that. All right, so that's the C column. C stands for customers. All right, the letter E here that you guys see, that stands for employees. So counting your agents, inside sales agents and administrative people, how many employees do you have in your organization?
25.
25. Well, actually, no, 3 up in Utah, 28.
Right.
Yeah, 20.
All right, so the letter E stands for employees. The second thing that makes your business outstanding is the quality of life available to everyone there.
True.
So, right, the quality of their life. Your business is designed, or should be designed, or you're designing it to elevate not just your lifestyle, but others, those people that you come into contact with, your employees. So such a company like yours, I would say, creates a motivating environment for its people, where the employees can see that working toward your goals, the organization's goals, is in their best interest. So in an environment like that, the employees begin to think like company owners. So they take pride and ownership and respect in the job that they're doing for others, right? So,
Yes.
so they're like your most precious resource there, these employees. And when they do, they become more committed, right? They're becoming more committed to the goals, and they're really more than just employees in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in many agencies, brokerages, sales teams, companies, employees perceive themselves to be as being used. They're like pawns, and they're sort of like expendable commodities that can be replaced. Right, but not in an organization that you have. Okay, so that's the E. That's the E. Okay, all right. Now the letter O stands for the owners. You guys are the owners, or you could call them stockholders or stakeholders, but we'll call them owners here, right? So not a single company, nobody listening today can call themselves world-class, outstanding, great, unless there's profit being made. Okay, it's got to be profitable, and you guys make profits. I've seen your books. You make a profit, a good one, right? So, but truly profitable for you guys means being like ethical. So if people in your organization, or even you guys, decide to cut corners or operate in the gray, that's when the profit becomes impacted. There's always outcomes as a result of there. So I would say that today, the trait that's most cited as required for effective leadership is integrity.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. So I think to make a key point there, that distinguishes your business from many, many others around you, is the integrity of profit making and the related resource allocation that you guys practice.
Correct.
And we use the Boys and Girls Club as an example.
Yes.
Okay. So in other words, Carol,
Yes.
I know you go back and forth to Hawaii and you do some other things as you should be doing.
Yes.
But others in your organization do that. You give large sums of money away, time, resources, and treasure. So that's what I'm getting at. This is not a self-absorbed business that you guys have.
No, it's not.
Okay, all right. So the S here in this column, okay, the S stands for, we'll call them significant other groups. Significant other groups. And so for all of us here, in the business that we're in, it would actually be the significant other group would be the community. Okay, so we're consciously building a spirit of shared responsibility, mutual trust between your organization and your community. So your core, right, your values impact the customers, the employees, the owners, and the significant others, in this case, the community. So when you're building your organization on, that's it. Your organization's built on those pillars, okay? And then what's holding all this up are your values. But they're not just words, see? You lead, you manage, and you hold people, including yourselves, and systems, everything you do accountable to these values.
That's right.
That you guys hold dear. When our country here in the United States was first founded, what was it that they did, the founding fathers? What did they sit down and write up?
Constitution.
You got it, which is freaking core values in writing. It's exactly these were all business people, very successful entrepreneurs in their own right and leaders, and they knew the very first thing they needed to do was put those values on paper.
And that's, Todd, that's where we made the mistake. I'm very humble about it. We didn't do the core values until later part in our, in our business, but we struggled. We were struggling with just ownership part of it, and it was filtering all the way down.
So you can see I'm pretty passionate about this because it's something that I feel like is a deficiency for myself and many other businesses in the area. So it's a race to try to get this right. So for example, I'll throw this back up here. Most companies, organizations, teams, people watching today, they have mission statements, that seek to express their commitment to one or more of those groups that we just went through. But I just wondered if they're actually walking the talk.
Can I tell you a story?
Please.
Did you talk about Becky?
No.
We had an agent, Todd, that was a top producing agent. She was so effective with our sellers and our buyers. But what we found out was that she was directing our clients to somebody else at a different company who was on a higher split, commission split. And that cost us, how much money, Tim, do you think it cost us? $50,000, $60,000 when we found out?
One transaction was over $42,000, so it could have been $80,000.
So we had to make a decision, and we had to kind of set an example, and Tim just walked her out. I felt bad. I wanted to give her a second chance, but Tim said, no, we cannot do this.
And she was a friend of the family, which was even more challenging, but it didn't align with the core value. And she was, our ISA, Mike, she was stealing from him because he should have received commission on those deals.
And stealing from it. So anyways, and didn't see anything wrong with it. Didn't see anything wrong with it. She didn't.
But when I sat down with her and I showed her the values, and I said, Becky, we have these and we live by them, and you obviously know this, we can't continue any further. So without that, you would sort of make exceptions and maybe hold on to her, try to fix it or rectify it. But in this, when you run true to your values, it keeps you in that straight path. There's no one way or the other way.
Yep, we all have those stories, but it's kind of what you do about them, learn from them, you chalk them away. It's by the time we get through this life, maybe we'll experience everything that could possibly go wrong, but we don't want to repeat it. No. All right, so I'm going to encourage everybody to write down a few things. First of all, organizations don't make managing by values work. People do, which is what you just said. So organizations don't, people do. People are the ones that make these things go. So I think everybody gets that. But let's look at real quickly this whole process, okay, in terms of how we want to go about doing this. And we'll use this PowerPoint stuff I've got and some things that you guys sent me as well, because it is a process. All right, so phase one of the process is really clarifying mission or purpose and values. So clarifying mission and values. So everybody should write that down. That's step one. Phase one, clarifying mission and values. And you guys worked on this, Tim, and y'all, and you've played around with this. Like, you've gone back and forth on it and have come up with some different things. How did you arrive at clarifying what you guys believed your overall mission of your business was and these values? How did you go about clarifying?
We just put a lot of phrases out there, and we said, no, we don't want that. What we really want, what do we really want to impact? And we wanted to impact others to prosper. So we just came up with elevate others to prosper. Well, who is that we want to elevate to prosper? It's just not the family. So it was our clients, our home buyers and home sellers. It is certainly our team. Our business partners, those that we're in business with, and then our entire community, because we are part of the community. So we sat down, Tim, Vicki, and I, we really we worked over this, we thought about it, we brought it back to the team, they agreed, and that's how.
Yeah, and the business partner aspect of this is a big piece, because real estate touches, impacts so many other businesses that are affiliated with us in the transaction. And we're very specific to all the vendors. We have a vendor book, as you know, Todd. There's about 132 vendors that we work with, that we've identified, and we work with them on a daily basis. It is imperative that they knew what our values were and that we aligned them with us. And it was interesting because some of those vendors didn't meet up to what our beliefs were. Yeah. And it was interesting, and it sort of self-corrected itself as we put people on, interviewed them that lined them to the values. But that being said, the clients that they're referring to us are more aligned with us and what we're looking for, if that makes any sense.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So phase one, clarifying mission and values. I get it. And we'll dig deeper in that here momentarily. All right. Phase two is communicating them. So give me some stuff here on how you guys went about this process of communicating these things. I know you wrote them down, you've given them out there, but that's kind of what most companies, organizations, people watching today's webinar are doing. That's kind of where it stops. So, but you guys have done a pretty good job of communicating it.
Every Thursday in our team meeting, we go over this card here. Everybody has it. They have to reiterate it to us. We talk about it. Coming into 2019, our what we want to be is amazing with serving everybody in all elements. So we literally talk about this to our team, and we live it too, Todd. I think one thing that people forget is there's other people like our transaction coordinator, our listing coordinator, Leah. She has a daughter. She hasn't been feeling well, and asking how she's doing, and going to Leah every day, like, hey, do you need any help, or is there anything that you need to do? So it's you talk about it, but you have to live it as well. You have to live it as well. So you have to be really in tune with your people, all of the values that you have up there. You have to be really in tune with it.
Yeah. So what you just described as well is part three, or phase three, because I think these are phases, and that's alignment. So you got to align your practices every day with your mission and your values. Right. And this is where people struggle a bit, is that their words, but they can't make their words really live. Because they don't really know how to get together and make those things go. And it could be that you've chosen the wrong words. You're not living out, the way that you say things. We all know people that look and act one way on television, for example, or in the news, and then all of a sudden, we get some new news, and they're not who we thought they were. Okay, they're not living out the persona that they put forth out there. So it was fake news, so to speak.
Well, and others watch you. They listen to what you say. They watch how you treat people, either employees or vendors or clients. So you've got to live it yourself, or no one will follow you. No one will believe it.
Yeah, we have. I'm sorry. Quick story. 2016, we were a very transactional company. There was nothing about experience. We had a seller that had his house on the market for over 400 days.
With another agent. Had it on twice. We come in, we sell the house in 17 days. I'm pounding the chest like, hey man, we're great. We rock. I called the seller up, and this is a good lesson was a great lesson for me. Very humbling. Called the seller up and said, hey John, would you give us a good review? And his exact words to me was, absolutely not. And I was taken by it. It affected me for several months. It's like, well, we sold you your home in 17 days, allow you to go on and live into your new home, fulfill your dream. But the problem was there was no experience in it for him. Okay. So that's one of the key words that we put up with our customers is, man, it's to give them an exceptional experience in the as we transact them. It's more than a transaction, right? It is.
Yeah.
So if we go back here and we look at this diagram again, everyone. So this whole thing down here, like we'll call it managing by values, leading, managing, holding people accountable by your actual core values. This process is a process. So it's really about identifying the gaps between what we say we believe and how we actually perform.
Yes.
And you gave a good example there, Tim. So as we said, many guys in companies out there, they talk a good service game, but they just don't walk it. Some people, managers, owners claim they've got an open door policy, but you try to get in and see them. You can't talk to them. Like, they run the other way when they see their people coming. So I understand all that for sure. So let's drill down a bit more, and let's talk about. Let me see here. I got it right here. Here we go. Okay, so we've got 5 core value commitments, and commitment is an interesting word. If you're going to have these values, why don't we commit to live, act, manage, lead, hire, fire, and filter everyone and everything we do through them? That's what the commitment is. Okay, and boy, every time I violate my own rules on this, it's not a good outcome. And I, as I'm sharing with you guys, and we're talking about it, trust me, I'm having flashbacks of times when I did not, for example, hire through the filter. Okay, so that was many times a mistake. I didn't fire through the filter. Okay, in other words, I overlooked bad behavior because maybe there was some other ancillary benefit in it. Right, and I think many of us are guilty of that. It's not how we're going to build a world-class, super profitable sales team. So now, I guess what we're saying then, if we look down here and use our little diagram, that in a company that truly runs itself this way and manages by its values, there's only one boss, and that's the company's values. So it kind of solves things, doesn't it?
It does.
Who you hire, who you fire, rewarding, pretty much just almost everything kind of falls into place. Things kind of take care of themselves. Even bad apples will squeeze themselves out, won't they?
They will.
They do.
Yeah.
And they do.
So I liked your process here of what you guys said. I'll throw this back up on the screen. So I liked your process for how you went about it. Okay. Clarifying these values and this mission and that sort of thing, and trying to get that together. And you're very open about it in terms of, boy, I wish we would have done this way earlier in the process. And it was funny because conflict, things not going the way you want them to go, not going the way you want them to go, not getting stick, repeat business, referrals, whatever it might be. You take a deep breath and step back and say, what the hell? We got to do something different. And this was sort of the difference maker.
It truly is. It changes the language, how you speak. I mean, this is the heartbeat of our company. Instead of saying, hey, we're coming in there selling your house right away, its language is, how can we serve you, and how can we be a good servant for you, and really listen to what story is going on behind the scenes, why they're selling, and understanding things. The Chick-fil-A video that Brian put up in Titanium the other day, that everybody has a story I mean, that's a tearjerker, but boy, is it true. So it really changes how you go about serving, how you think about what you should be doing is serving people and customers and your staff and everybody along with you.
All right. So here's another operative word in this process: operating. This is how we operate. It's how we run things, how we manage things, how we lead. So when we talk about, for example, commitments, okay, operating, those are operative words that really describe how this whole thing works. Okay, so, and we'll talk a little bit about, why, we settled in on some things here, but I want to make sure everybody gets the process for clarifying, these kinds of values. First of all, you believe that there's a need for it in your business. Okay, you believe that you're going to build a business, so there becomes a need for it. So just fast forward, see the future. Good leaders are good at seeing the future. So you see the future. And the way that I've helped Platinum members over the years see the future is just challenge them by looking at their business that they can't use commission checks to pay for anything. You can only pay for things if people are coming back, referring you, and giving you 5-star reviews. Would that change how you set things up, what you did, how you operated, what you said, what you present? And of course, the overwhelming response is yes, it would. So that's how I've been able to get people to look and scale their business forward from a starting point. All right, so I like that. That's pretty good. So it starts with somebody believing that this is important. And we've got a few hundred people on the webinar to believe it's important today. Okay, good. All right. Then I would get others' input. So you guys got each other's input. I got other people's input, and I had my own experiences. So you get other people's input. And that includes the people around you, spouses, people close to you, trusted advisors. When it's just you flying solo, you may realize that over time when you bring people in your organization, some of these things might change a bit. So, but anyway, that's sort of the process, I think, for clarifying things. And just want to make sure everybody wrote that down and had some good notes there. All right, so let's take a look then at, sort of, we'll call it, these, well, let's look at this mission statement here. Okay, so Craig and I have been very, very bold and outspoken about mission statement. You guys remember when you went to your very first super conference, and you're standing there, and Craig throws that big heart up there, and he's like, okay, you just challenge everybody in the audience. What's your heart's desire? Okay, so if I am not helping you achieve your heart's desire, I am failing as a leader of our own organization.
Yes.
Okay, so because that is the core purpose, right? Is to help you achieve it. Plain and simple, it's core purpose of the business. The business exists to help you achieve what you most want. Right? And that is a big difference compared to the way, for example, the way most other brokerages operate. We exist to hold your real estate license.
Yeah.
So anyway, I like that, but that's, Craig taught me how to do that. The business is for others. If they're not achieving what they most want to achieve, we're failing as a business, since that's what we're designed to do. So everything gets filtered and set up around that particular mission statement. So that leads to these core value commitments. So I'm going to encourage you guys to go another step here with what you shared with us today, Tim, Vicky, Carol. And that is to apply these core values to the CEOS part of the equation, as you can see that I did right there. Our company, for example, you guys can see it here, will endeavor to be the best place to work for employees, the best place to buy and sell real estate for clients, the best stewards for shareholders, and give our very best back to our community.
Yeah.
Right. So again, your core value is going to impact whatever the value might be, all four of those things: the customers, the employees, the owners, and the significant others, in this case, community.
Yep. Makes a lot of sense. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you get everybody functioning in your organization as CEOs. Everybody's a CEO. Mm-hmm. We're here, and we take pride in doing it. So let's look at a few core values, and we can drill down as some examples. So here we are, second mile service. All right. Now, second mile service, as most of you guys know, goes all the way back to Roman times. And here's how it worked. In Roman times, if you are a Roman centurion soldier, you're walking down the road carrying your pack in a foreign country that you've just conquered. You can tap any of the residents of this foreign country on the shoulder, and by law, they have to carry your pack 1 mile, but no more. That was a Roman law. If you're a soldier, you cannot force someone in a conquering country that you just conquered to carry your pack more than 1 mile. That was the max. So pretty interesting law. Well, like right out of the Bible here, biblical text in Matthew, it said, hey, whoever compels you to go 1 mile, go 2. Yeah, go the extra. Mm-hmm. So I used to work for Chick-fil-A back when I was a kid, Truett Cathy, those guys over there, and I started adopting, some of this in my own personal life. And it didn't really take hold now until I got on up there in years, until I understood how big a deal it was. So one of the things that I can't stand is people that cut corners, always looking for the shortcut and the easy way out. All right. Hey, I love shortcuts. I love easy way outs, but when it comes to building a business and helping others and customers, that is not the way to go about it. Right? Every time I've done it personally, it hasn't really had great outcomes. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
So now we attach, or we take that core value and we apply it to, as you guys can see here, the customers, the employees, the ownership or owners, and the community. Right? So, go ahead.
How do you make it easy for employees to deliver second mile service?
Okay. Well, what would be a barrier to an employee doing that? Okay. So, for example, some businesses want to control the connection between employee and customer.
Okay.
By holding things back or directing phone calls away from them or filtering things through one source to get to the other one, and it just delays response time, for example, right? So, for example, we all know right now that we can do things electronically. So with my seller, if I'm at a listing appointment, they can touch my iPad, sign it digitally, and the paperwork's received back in my office, which allows the for sale sign and photography to get ordered instantly. Whereas if my process is, hey, you got to turn in paperwork, we have to have the paper, and then when we get the paperwork, then we'll order the signs and the photography and all that stuff. And that's the way a lot of people here on the webinar act, that they do things. So they're not filtering the processes through a value like this because it's not a value for them. What's more valuable is having the paper. The paperwork would be more valuable, and I'm not dissing it. I'm just pointing out the obvious.
Todd, that's a great point. In 2017, we worked very diligent. When we had a complaint, we put that complaint and we put a process behind it. So if it was, like you just mentioned, a sign not getting up or a feedback or whatever, it was a weak leak in our system. So processes, like you just mentioned, are huge. If you want to build a great business, take the complaints or whatever, that feedback that you're getting from the clients, whatever, and build processes behind it. It's how you build a really good business.
See, this is, I think, the point that this is really getting down to today, is that these aren't just words. This is how you run the business. Processes, people, decisions, advertising, marketing, days worked, days off, everything, what you say over the telephone, just everything that you do, it gets filtered and done this way. So this is a franchise in every sense of the word. Except we're not selling a franchise, but that's really what we have here. A super profitable sales team franchise, a Craig Proctor real estate business franchise. I did a great job of putting that into work here in Metro Atlanta. Made history with it. Okay, that's why we all have similar values that we run our businesses by, because we bought into this model in a way that Craig has been gracious enough to pass on to us, okay? And a lot of us kind of miss on that. So the reason some people struggle, businesses aren't multiplying, it's not making a quantum leap, is there's a secret sauce or an ingredient that's missing, okay? And this is it, man. I'm just telling you, your processes for doing things are a direct result of the values of your business, or they're not. All right, which means you have misalignment and confusion and what we call dysfunction within the team. Let's look at another one, empowering others. Okay, so I want to make sure that people really understand, in our company, what that means. Okay, so look it up. Here's the definition of it. Give someone the authority or power to do something. So people like that about me, I think. I've been told, with feedback from people over the years, is I'm not a micromanager. I believe they possess the skill, the DNA to solve their own issues and solutions, and it makes them better. if it's always coming into my office and knocking on the door, you got a minute, and I tell them what to do, it's just not going to be a very great business.
You know, this was something I did take one really good note in Anaheim. You said everybody on your team should always be implementing.
Mm-hmm.
And man, was that a great statement, because we're guilty of this, you know, being very honest. Sometimes we'd like to take control of these things, but their idea is you can squash a company by not allowing people, your staff, to give you ideas that can make processes even better. So I told everybody, especially in our admin department, if you have something that can make our business better, by all means, let us know. If it makes sense, we're going to implement this thing. So we set up on our Thursday meeting a money bag pool for our admin and our staff. When they have a great idea, we let them pull out of the money bag. We say, hey, this was a big thing, a big deal, and we really celebrate it. So that's something, you know, that we've learned, Todd. You know, we've been very controlling in that, and it's you know, hurt us in the past. So great job on that.
All right, so I would write this down, everyone, because this is what Tim just said. All right, he said that genuine success does not come from proclaiming their values, but from consistently putting them into daily action.
Exactly.
All right, that's what you said. All right, so I would write that down. That's a big aha gold nugget. The genuine success, all right, does not come from proclaiming them. In other words, let's a plaque on the wall, but from consistently putting them into daily action. Okay, so if you look at this, you know, sort of this value, this core value, empowering others, you know, it means I have confidence in your ability to do things. So how does it apply to clients, customers? How does it apply to employees? How does it apply to the shareholders of the ownership? And how does it apply to the community? Okay, so there you go. I don't believe that people in the community are out to get me unless they feel like I'm out to get them.
Mm-hmm.
Trust is a big issue. So how can I get people to trust me more? Well, just be a bit less selfish and more selfless would be for starters. I can help you with that. I can get you that, and I'm not expecting anything in return. So those are some good bullet points on that one. We'll look at a couple of others here, and then we'll. If you guys got questions or you want to talk to Tim or Carol or Vicky here, you guys are welcome to let Andrea know. Okay. And all right. Let's look at this one. I like this because this is Craig Proctor to a T. He's looking for results. You know, how we get there, you know, might not be a straight line, but what we're looking for are results. Okay. If you know, for example, what I'm interested in when we get together, you guys and me, at say a TW for a day consultation, the first thing that I'm asking you is your business up or down over the same time last year? What was your gross commission income from, you know, beginning of the calendar year to same exact moment in time last year compared to what it is this year? What is it? And you guys produce the numbers, right? And that's where we start out, you know, a good bit of our conversations in the day, because it is about progression, the results. In other words, we're not having conversations about stuff that, you know, makes us feel good. We're not going to confuse activity with productivity. Your business is for profit, and it's either growing and producing profit, or it's not growing and not producing profit. There is no gray area. So I talked to one of our coaches today, and we had a good conversation, and I reminded him, so look at when you get on the phone with a member, it's a pretty quick thing. Is their business up or down over the same time last year? Period. Are they progressing? So measure progression based on results, and the results that I think most everybody's looking for today. More income. So,
Yes. Profit.
yes. All right. So when we're talking about results driven, like how many times have you guys listed a home and it didn't sell, and the seller's saying, hey, great job, guys. I really appreciate everything.
Never, ever.
Never.
Yeah. So what are the results that clients want? Well, John Reeves was in my office not too long ago, and I asked him, what's your mission there? And he said, to change lives. I'm like, okay, well, how do you know when you've accomplished it? And we had a good conversation about that because he didn't quite have that shored up yet. So we went to work on it, and we all know John. He's got one of the best businesses in the country in Southern California there. So he began on every appointment with every buyer and seller to write down what they wanted accomplished. In other words, what was their vision for this whole real estate transaction and process. So the client would give them their vision for why they were moving, what they wanted to see happen, and what they felt like they could say, yes, mission accomplished. So they got it all written out, and now every time they list a home or take on a buyer, that goes into their CRM so everybody can see it. So at the end of the transaction, did we accomplish our mission for that particular customer? Did we give them what they wanted? Did we deliver on what they said was the things that they most wanted? That's how you build a business where you get a steady stream of repeat business, 5-star reviews, and testimonials.
It's a great idea.
Todd, that's worth being on the webinar today. That bit of information right there.
Yep, that was a. You're right, exactly right. That's worth the price of admission today. Everybody got their money's worth on that one. Yeah. So there again, results driven. If that's a core value, that's one that I hold. Try not to confuse activity with productivity and focus on results. Lots of ways to get there, but what are the results we're looking for? So what is it the clients want? Employees, people that work here, they need a clear direction and a clear path. It can't be fuzzy. If there's lack of clarity, there will be a lack of results. The more clear, the better the results, and the faster you'll get there. So the reason a lot of Platinum members here on the webinar today are not where they want to be, it's because they're just not clear on what they need to do to get there. It's all. It's not from lack of work ethic. See, everybody here can work. It's not from lack of investment. It's primarily a clarity issue. So those are just some examples. Again, customers, employees, ownership, and the community. We'll look at another one here that I thought would be good for today's topic, since it's Thanksgiving month in the United States of America. Okay, and we love our Thanksgiving here in the U.S. It's a week-long holiday. The Canadians laugh at us, they do their Thanksgiving in a half a day. And in the U.S. here, it's like a week or longer.
Yeah, it has to be.
Right. So,
Todd, I'm going to email you a quick link. I don't know if you can share it with folks, things that something we're doing Thanksgiving. This is our second year, and it's been last year was a big hit. We didn't realize the impact and the people that came in to see us, and just generally give us thanks for helping them, with what they needed to be done real estate wise, and fulfill some of their dreams. But
send it over.
Yeah, we'll send that over to you right now. It's coming over.
Yep, send it over. So if it's an attitude or a core value of valuing relationships, okay, I could say valuing transactions. Okay, but that's not a core value. The transaction is just a means to formulating a relationship with customers and clients so that we can do many transactions.
Right.
Right. And it's a race to sell more houses, trust me, so we can do more for others. So, all right, how do we go? How does that impact the client? How does that impact employees, the ownership, and of course the community? So, all right, one more, because I had 5 of these core commitments here that I was using as an example from our own company. Continuous improvement. Embrace continuous improvement. That would be another word for change.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that bothered me, I'll give everybody a personal story here. My stepfather. Loved my stepdad, and became my stepdad when I was 15. And he passed away a couple of years ago from cancer, prostate cancer. And but when he retired from working for American Can, They basically did cans for, cola companies and beer companies and things like that. But when he retired from them, he didn't do anything. Like I would go and visit and be like, dude, get off the freaking couch. What are you doing? Watching Westerns. And I was like, you need to go do something. No, I'm good. I'm good. So I watched as someone I really cared about didn't do anything. Basically retired and died prematurely. Yep. So it bothered me. It bothers me to this day. I'm sharing it with everyone here because I don't want it to happen to anyone, my family, my kids. So this is a process. You wake up every day, play like you're behind, and improve. Life is about progression. Catherine Proctor on a webinar told everybody, hey, isn't life about moving up? Isn't life about progressing? And I remember responding like, you would think so. But a lot of people get into a rut here and nothing changes. I'll give you one more story. I went back and visited the guys that owned the Remax office I was at for 15 years. You guys know this story? Did I tell you this story?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. All right. So, right. I left Remax, basically had my own independent real estate sales team, and went back, I guess it was about 8 years later, and to visit the owners of that Remax office. They weren't a Remax anymore. And this company right here in town, loved those guys, man. The guys that own it loved them. Super great guys. One of them's retired now. The other one's still there running it. One of the best people I've ever met in my entire life. Okay, so I go back 8 years later. They're showing me around their new location, and there were people there at the real estate office that were there when I was there. As a matter of fact, they weren't just there when I was there 8 years before. They were there 15 years before, some of them. So anyway, as we're walking around, one of the guys would say, hey, Todd, sorry about that. My phone's ringing. You remember so-and-so? He was here when you were here. And I'm like, hey, so-and-so, how you doing? Then we go to somebody else. Hey, Todd, you remember such and such? You remember her? You remember him? Yeah, how you doing? How are you? So every time we would walk away from one of those agents' office, the owner would say, hey, he's doing great. He did $120,000 in commissions over the last 12 months. Hey, this person over here, they're doing really good. They did like 85,000. So one of the owners had made a big deal out of everybody that I saw that was there when I was there, made a big deal out of telling me how well they were doing. So we get back to the conference room, and I looked at him and I said, you made a big deal to tell me how well everybody was doing there that I saw back from the old days. And he goes, yeah, I just wanted you to know. And I'm like, but they were doing this. That was the same amount of money and income they were doing 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Like nothing's changed.
Amazing.
They're doing the same thing. And he goes, yeah, isn't it great? And I was like, I don't think it's so great. Like that may be a sin. And the guy said, well, Todd, not everybody's like you. And I was like, well, that's probably a good thing. But I just don't think that that's great.
No.
So anyway, because and everybody gets that here, and that's an attractive thing to our system, this coaching and this training and everything we talked about today and everything we work on every day of every week. It is about improving. So that's a value of mine, a core value. So I just put that in. And then how does that relate to the customers? Good enough never is. How does it relate to the employees? Well, personal and professional growth is paramount to what we do. How does it relate to the owners? Don't get comfortable. Okay, and how does it relate to our community? Well, you're either a positive force or negative force. There's no such thing in between. People like to use the word neutral, but we know that that really doesn't exist. So anyway, so that gives everyone, I think, a really good idea here about applying your values and core values to every aspect of your business, including the clients, customers, the employees there, the ownership, because it's a give and take from everyone, and of course the significant others, in this case, the community. So anyway, you guys got any comments there before we see if we have any other questions? I've been answering a bunch of these as we move along.
Yeah, Todd, I don't know if you can pull up Ruth's email. Maybe not, I don't know. it's just something that we do for Thanksgiving. We talked a little bit about that.
Well, and while you're looking at that, Todd, I am certainly at retirement age. I've worked a lot of years, but one of the things that I will not do is stay home and do nothing. No, I know Tim and Vicki, there are days they wish I would, but I'm going to come in. I'm going to be involved. I'm
Sure.
stepping back, but Tim pushes and Vicki pushes, and I'm just kind of the balancer. I'm just kind of the one that balances them both. But they are pushers. They have vision, and they've taken our business far beyond what I ever dreamed possible.
Yeah, that's another key point in all this is the vision as you cast it. Todd, you had me read Visionaire by Charles Stanley. I just finished it, and boy, what a great read. And that's so important for a team to know the direction it's going. It's where we're growing and what we're doing. It's very impactful. It's powerful. The Utah branch that we've opened up, that branch is doing phenomenal. Just only 6 weeks in the market there, selling a ton of homes, listing a ton of homes. So it's all about the vision and not just standing still. You made a great point. Did 100,000, 85,000. That's what people do. They work transactions or work in the business constantly, and they're not impacting other people out there. So,
and you would be glad to know that Tim is not in the circus. He is not riding 2 horses.
yeah. Well, neither are you.
It's right. That's the only place to ride 2 horses. You got it. Yeah, I'm just having problems getting that to pop up there. Tim. Hey, Andrea, do we have some questions here that we need to address before we look at a couple other things and wrap this up?
Almost all of the questions are asking you to repeat things you've said earlier on in the session. So I'm going to wrap it up in one. The slides we looked at today, are those available on the site, or will you be making those available to the members?
Yep, absolutely. We'll, just like we always do, we'll make them available, man. Sure. I'm looking at some nice pies here. What's going on here, guys?
Hey, that's carolhasthepies.com.
We put out to our Homeward Bound list. Anybody that would like to order a Thanksgiving pie, they can pick it up from us. We're happy to give it to them as our gift to them for being such a great home buyer, home seller, and referring clients. So, every day our phone rings, people are coming in, but it's a good way for us to reconnect with them. We give them a pie, and we spend a little time with them.
Get a testimonial or two. That's a great time. We're having some video done. They're going to share the testimonial live with us, and in person type of thing. And so you can get great content as you have people coming in.
And they're coming into the office, which is great because they're meeting the staff and the team, how we've grown. So it's an awesome experience for them and for us.
Well, here's what makes this good. Okay, is number one is authentic. You guys just aren't. It's Thanksgiving. Let's give away some friggin' pies. Like you guys, it's a bit different for you than it is for some of the other guys. People feel it and they see it. Hey, a couple quick questions. How's your live chat feature working out here on your?
Awesome. I fought against it, but it's awesome.
So, Todd, I'm shocked at how people will just chat, at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and we asked it, would you call us? And the answer is no. Matter of fact, we sold a home the other day. Folks were trick or treating. Guy got on his mobile phone, saw the sign, went on the website. We just started chatting with one of our ISAs, and we ended up selling him a home. He's under contract right now, and that was just a chat. They were out trick-or-treating with the kids, and we put that together.
We had another gal that came in, and she did the chat. We never spoke with her, and she said, I want to sell my house. The next day, we had her house listed.
Yeah.
And we never spoke with her on the phone. It was all through that chat.
It's just a little bit natural. People just naturally will, they come on it. They see it, and, it's been pretty darn good.
You just have to have somebody there that is.
Yeah, you have to have somebody dedicated 24/7.
Somebody dedicated to it.
Yeah. Because these things will come in at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. So they have to have an ISA dedicated to it. But it's been a great, so far so good. Knock on wood, it's only been a couple weeks, but we've really enjoyed it.
Okay, so Ernest, the book was Visioneering by Andy Stanley.
Wonderful book. Everybody needs to read that. That's a must read. That was a great book you put us on, Todd.
Yep, it's one of the best books ever written on creating vision. Leverages some ancient stories about people back in ancient times with big, bold visions against enormous adversity, seeing them through. So it's excellent read. Yep. Letitia, that was alignment of values, aligning. So you got to bring them all together. Yep, you got to clarify, you got to communicate, and you have to get everything, all of it aligned together. So there's a couple other questions there people are asking. Appreciate that. Anything else there, Andrea?
No, you covered it, and they've been very quiet. They're very interested in the session today. Not a whole lot of chats.
Yeah. This was a note-taking session here. There's quite a bit of collateral or additional material that we could get into and cover on this. So depending on it's very high demand topic of conversation. Running business this way, managing business this way, leading, managing, holding everybody accountable to these core values in the titanium guys, like you guys are all into it. We don't spend a lot of time on it, with platinum members and meetings and other things, but we will. If there's demand for it, we'll drill down on it. And make it
will change your business. It will change your business.
If you're on the webinar and you want, your heart desire to run a business, this is, Todd, this is the first and foremost. You got to be, I think, working on to identify.
Yeah.
It is an absolute must. And man, don't make the mistake we made.
Yeah.
Hey, Todd, one more time. A lot of people missed the name of the book. Can you repeat that, and I'll type it in?
It's Visioneering, Visioneering, Visioneering by Andy Stanley. Not Charles, Andy.
The sun.
The son. Yep. The son. Yep.
I'm gonna say Andy.
No, you said Andy.
I said Andy.
Yep. So, hey, one of the cool things I've got coming up at the, let me see if I've got it, if I've got this for you guys. Right here, check it out. So in Orlando, I've got this session put together, When Work and Family Collide, how the most successful Craig Proctor system agents manage hundreds of closings and family relationships.
Yes.
That was one based on feedback that people were really interested in. Now, you guys do a pretty good job of that, but that's a different topic for a different day. But I wanted to, because we mentioned Andy Stanley. He wrote a book, and that's the name of the book, When Work and Family Collide. And the name of the book used to be Choosing to Cheat. Like you're cheating one or the other, work or family. If you're working, you're cheating your family. If you're with family, you're cheating work, that sort of thing. So how do you manage all that? And you guys have done a great job with your families and as a family-run business in doing all that. So hats off to you guys. Congratulations on your 4 million. What are we going to do next year? 8?
Well, we sort of, this what we what we're tracking right now is to do over 500 homes next year. So
okay.
Maybe get into that 600 range. We're working on it. We follow that business plan that you give us, talk about our issues list, our
good news, our issues, our scorecard. So we've been doing that weekly, Todd, since our day with you. What a difference it makes. What a difference.
Making big leaps, working on that, what matters most. So that was a big thing. That was a really big thing to put us on. Yeah.
Good. I appreciate you sharing that too. That's a big gold nugget here to wrap up the session today on is you've got to run your business and operate your business away. And everybody that's super successful, they pretty much run it and operate it from lists of things to do. And everybody knows what those are, who's charged with it, and you get together and collaborate on moving the ball forward. So I like what you said early on, Tim, was big gold nugget out of Anaheim was you don't have to be the only one implementing the system in your business, right? Everyone is implementing, everyone in the team, on the team, everyone. When you bring admin people on, you're bringing them on to help you implement the system. So, all right, great job. Hey, man, I really appreciate you guys jumping on today. That means a lot. Thank you.
Bet.
Yeah. All right, so with that, that's going to wrap up today's Platinum session. And get to CraigProctorCoaching.com. Get registered. Sorry about that. Get registered for February 16th and 17th in where is it? Orlando. That's a typo right there. We could fix that. And then we'll have us another great event, historical event for sure. Be hundreds of you there, about 600 or 700. So don't miss out. All right, with that, it's going to wrap it up. Andrea, thank you. Great job. As always, you're the best.
My pleasure.
Okay, guys, go serve big. We'll see you.
Go vote.